Story 1. I had a coworker ask me once if I could help her move her bed, which I thought was odd since it is pretty manageable for one person. I went to her house and saw she had an 18-year-old brother. I wondered why she did not ask him for help. I moved the bed and then left. The next day at work, some friends asked me if I got lucky. I was confused and said no. I just moved her bed for her and left. They all laughed at me. Story 2. If I keep glancing down at the pickle sitting on your plate that you are not eating, I want it. Story 3. I once got yelled at by my female coworker. She said, "Haven't you noticed that for the last 2 months, the first thing I do when I arrive is come to your desk and say hello? And that I don't do that for anyone else." I honestly hadn't noticed. I did notice she always arrived later than me. That was the only thing I had noticed. After that little bit of frustration and yelling, we ended up having a relationship for a while. Story 4. I once asked a man if I could kiss him. We had been spending time together in a way that made it possible. He said yes, and I kissed him. It was great, but then we naturally went our separate ways. 3 days later, this man called me, shocked that I was hitting on him. He told a friend about the interaction, and they had to clarify. "Sir, I literally kissed you." Story 5. Ladies reading this thread, I have had a 100% success rate with asking a man for his phone number to start working towards a relationship. Get to know him, build a rapport, make sure he is single, then ask for his number. Be direct. Tell him you like him and want to go on a date. If he likes you, he will be flattered. If he does not like you, then you do not need to date him. That is it. If he tries to make you feel bad for asking, then you avoided a problem and have lost nothing. Story 6. All of them. Seriously, if you are a man like me, I am terrible at hints. She would have to explicitly tell me that she likes me or wants to be with me. Even then, I would be scared that I am getting pranked because that has happened to me before. Story 7. Literally anything that is not, "Let's have sex right now." Even then, I would think I am getting scammed. Story 8. I've messed up so many interactions with women that it's silly. The only time I realized she was interested in me was when my roommate and I threw a New Year's Eve party. I was sitting on the couch with a drink, talking to people, when a woman I had never met before, or since, came over, took the drink out of my hand, then cuddled up next to me and put my arm around her. At that point, I thought, okay, this is different but good. Then she did something I couldn't miss to show she was interested. She put my hand down her shirt, into her bra, and on her right breast. To say I was shocked is an understatement. Story 9. A sizable number of men do not want to come off as creepy or overly forward. The result is that people like this will see a clear hint and dismiss it, thinking, they probably do not mean it that way. Anecdotally, in high school, a pretty girl sat next to me for about 2 weeks at lunch and made comments like, "I could really see myself with someone like you," while also being unusually touchy. I naturally assumed she did not mean literally me and thought, neat, I guess I am not hopeless after all. After she realized that I was not responding to her hints, she stopped joining me at lunch. Ladies, if you are reading this and have your eye on someone, just go ahead and be blunt about it. We are incredibly dense at the best of times. We will not think you are weird. We will not think you are creepy. Story 10. After a thorough analysis of this thread, I have concluded that both men and women are terrible at this. Story 11. I was about to comment that I have never even been hit on, but then I realized the problem at hand. Story 12. I am literally in my bed with my fiancé right now, and I still am not positive this is not a long-term prank because really me? Why? Story 13. When I was younger, I had a girl over a few times to watch DVDs. We never had anything physical except she started to ask for a massage and also gave one after every movie. She took off her shirt and unzipped her bra so I could reach everywhere on her back. I massaged her back until it was her turn to massage me, which she did every time. After the 5th date, when I was done massaging, she sat up, forgot to close her bra, turned my way, and playfully said, "Oh, you? Of course you would stare." I turned away, apologized, and looked away. Do I have to mention this was the last time I saw her? Sometimes I want to invent a time machine just to travel back and slap my teenage self in the face. Hard. Story 14. The reason I smiled at you is not because I like you. It is simply kindness. Story 15. I once went on New Year's Eve with a girl to see fireworks. We kissed cheeks as a sort of good luck gesture, but also because I was hesitating to kiss her lips. Then we went home. It was winter, so it was quite cold and my hands were freezing because I forgot to bring gloves. She offered to put my hands inside her shirt near her chest to keep them warm, which was nice. I walked her to her place and told her that I liked her, but she said she didn't like me. Story 16. I was flirting with a guy I met at work. I would randomly brush his hand or arm, make extended smiling eye contact or whatever. I never went in for the hug because it was the workplace. Turns out he was picking up those signals, but he didn't believe them. He is a good friend of my roommate, who is a gay woman. Because I live with her, he thought I was her girlfriend. That changed when we all went out to a social event after work and her actual girlfriend showed up. That's when he learned I was straight and single. We were dating by the next week. Now we are engaged. Story 17. The problem with hints is that they rarely mean one thing. Or maybe to the woman they mean one specific thing, but that is only because she is the only one privy to her chain of reasoning. The person she is speaking to does not have that benefit, so to him she could be saying one of many things, and there is a risk associated with some of the interpretations. Sometimes men do indeed fail to pick up on subtle hints, but that is just because that is not how we communicate in general. Men are taught to be direct. Women are taught to be more subtle. Other times men are being cautious and deliberately choose the safer option. No one wants to come off as creepy or ruin a friendship by misinterpreting a comment or friendly gesture as flirting. Also, it is not like all women use the same hints or have those words or actions mean the same thing. Story 18. Some women expect men to think like them, so their hint is understand my language by repeating to speak in that language of indirect communication. It is funny because when I want to communicate with someone from the United Kingdom, I do not start talking in Swahili. Story 19. Ever since the Me Too movement, most men have become more conscious of not misinterpreting friendliness as romantic interest. This is not to say I am against the Me Too movement. I am glad women feel more comfortable coming forward with their stories. I am also glad men are being more respectful of women. That said, a side effect is that men are even less likely to act on subtle hints now. We do not want to be seen as the creep who misread friendliness as interest and ruin a friendship or make a friend group awkward. Also, one woman's hint may be another woman's friendliness. It is hard for us to keep track. Some women hug everyone. Some do not. Some smile a lot and make lots of eye contact. Some do not. It does not have to be an explicit invitation. It can be a simple message. Hey, do you want to grab lunch on day? Just you and me. If that goes well and he does not pick up on it, you can follow up with, I had a good time with you. Would you like to go on a real date sometime? Men are, for the most part, direct about things. If you want us to understand, be direct. That is the language we speak. Story 20. A woman could have a genuine conversation with me, and I would not pick up on the hint because the conversation or things she says are quite literally what many other women say. Those women were not interested. You get so used to thinking that just because a woman appears interested, it does not mean she actually is. Not to mention the risk of being labeled a creep if you make a risky gamble. A woman could smile, laugh, have an open body posture, ask about my life, and I would still think she is just normally like that. Story 21. You need to put yourself out there more and remember that guys are generally expected to ask girls out. A lot of men go their whole lives never experiencing a girl chasing them, asking them out, or making the first move, which is completely normal for about 90% of men. Story 22. I am still wondering if a woman was flirting with me in line at Target back in 2013 after I lost 40 pounds. At the time, I could not tell if she was obviously looking me over because I looked good and slimmer or if she was wondering who allowed me to go out dressed like that. My brain does not understand hints. I cannot read minds, so I do not try to understand what others might be thinking. Story 23. Men are simple creatures. We do not get hints. The second date I had with my wife, we were sitting in my truck just chatting a little. She climbed on top of me, took off her shirt and bra, and started making out with me. It was awesome. I thanked her and immediately drove her home. It was years later that she told me she wanted to have sex with me on our second date. I had no idea. For years. Story 24. Even when a girl runs her tongue down my throat, most guys will think, maybe she just wants to be friends. This is caused by girls who keep a male best friend around for years while he is clearly into her. One false misinterpreted signal can lead to accusations in most jurisdictions. Guys are simply bad at reading hints. So guys tend to play possum unless there is a neon sign, and even then, they proceed with caution. Story 25. My 32-year-old wife is a mother of two. When she joined this new company, she suddenly changed her wardrobe to sexier clothes. She started waxing her legs regularly and grooming herself more intimately. She told me that people would be surprised when she said she has 2 kids and that she looks like a college student. It turned out she was emotionally cheating with a male colleague who was 8 years younger and was complimenting her on how gorgeous she looked. It might have become physical if my intuition had not prompted me to check her mobile messages. Story 26. All of them because I have been wrong before. I am not the type to take eye contact and a smile or laugh as flirting either. I have been certain there was flirting, only for them to tell me they are not actually interested in pursuing something. So I make a point to tell people in my life that I really require and appreciate direct communication, and I am very direct with others. In a nice way, of course. Honestly, people usually seem to really appreciate it. I have been talking to a woman for the past several weeks. I asked her out, and we have been on a few dates and multiple casual hangouts. I checked in to see how she was feeling and told her I have no expectations other than communicating. This seemed to be a relief because she was really burned by her most recent relationship and needs time to actually know how she feels. So we are just going to continue hanging out and communicating. She knows I am interested, but it is also okay that she is not sure. If she decides she would rather be friends, she knows we would both be happy with that because I told her so. I understand that some people like the flirting games, but personally, I love taking the guesswork out of things and just talking like adults. Story 27. Ever have one of those cringe moments that haunt you for the rest of your life? This one still makes me wince. Granted, in my defense, I was 15 and had never touched a breast before. My first girlfriend throughout freshman year never wanted to do anything more than kiss, so when I started dating my second girlfriend the next year, I thought that was normal. We were making out intensely every unsupervised second we got together, but that was it. One day she came over on a day when my mom wasn't home, wearing a low-cut top that plunged down between her breasts. As we were making out, my innocent, naive self thought, better be extra careful where my hands go. In the middle of making out, she stopped, looked me in the eye, and softly said, "Where is my heart?" I panicked and very carefully, nervously, tapped a single careful finger on her sternum, making sure I didn't touch either breast. She literally rolled her eyes, said, "Ugh," pulled her top down and exposed her breast, grabbed my hand firmly, and placed it on her breast, staring me in the eye firmly. I had a second of confused panic like, I'm not supposed to do that. Then realization hit me like, oh, yeah, I still cringe at my naivety. Story 28. One time I was photographing a girl. The theme was Netflix and chill. Underwear, some pizza, just sexy vibes. Out of nowhere, she said, "I'm taking my top off." I was younger then, so I instantly got excited in my skinny jeans. I kept my cool and continued taking photos. We were just vibing and taking photos when she asked, "Have you ever done anal?" I answered with a straight face, "No," and kept going. I look back at this event as one of the biggest missed hints of my life. Story 29. I once had a very attractive coworker ask me if I was a legs, breasts, or butt man. This same coworker cut her thigh and had me check the cut in her office, which was the only place not covered by security cameras, by dropping her pants. She also made a point to tell me every time she was clean-shaven. I am clueless. Story 30. Don't give us hints. Talk to us and be blunt. I promise you we can handle it. Trying to respond to ambiguous hints without providing the answer you are trying to find will probably elicit an awkward, if not creepy, response if there is a misinterpretation. Loneliness is difficult, but it is far better than being thought of as creepy. Playing hard to get is unwise. No really means no to the majority of men, and it is an easy way to make us try elsewhere. Story 31. I remember helping a girl out in college. She was in my car, just the two of us. She wanted to date a guy like me. Kind, funny, courteous, good-looking. So I mentioned guys we know. How about Dave? He's always nice and friendly. Kyle? You said he was cute. Thomas? He's smart and funny. Each guy she rejected. I listed about 6 guys. Finally, I said that's all the guys I know like me. She muttered something, said never mind, got out, and slammed the car door hard. Don't get mad at me for not knowing other guys like me. 2 years later, I realized, wait, I am like me. Story 32. There was a girl I really liked in high school. I took her to a movie premiere I won tickets to. We hung out all the time. She would often sit on my lap on the bus on the way home from school, even when there were seats available. It took 15 years and me telling my current girlfriend about her for me to understand that, yes, this girl was in fact interested in me. Some of us are clueless when it comes to this stuff. Story 33. I learned last week that when women compare hand sizes with you, it means they are flirting. I had no clue. Story 34. Men notice them but hesitate to act because if they are wrong, it could be very serious, like guilty until proven innocent. Story 35. As a guy speaking here, it's when they repeatedly joke about being in a relationship. My best friend and I have known each other since 2015, a long time ago, and as teenagers she had a thing for me. But she would always joke about the what if we ended up together scenario while saying, but I don't see you that way. She always told me I was more of a friend or big brother figure to her. Looking back, it should have been obvious, but I always took her word at face value. My parents and hers knew the entire time. We are getting married this fall. Story 36. In a no means no world, hints are not consent and are ignored. Be explicit and honest. Hints are ineffective because they do not hold up in court. Story 37. As a man, I have had many women flirt with me, but I never pick up on it. Why? Because I have become numb to the mind games some women truly get a thrill from. A prime example is a woman who dated a guy that everyone knew I hated intensely. Her reason for doing this was that she wanted me to be jealous and take her from him. What kind of thinking is this? Story 38. I refuse to see all of them. Stop wasting my time. Communicate like a mature person. Story 39. As a 30-year-old male, I am admittedly afraid to overestimate someone's kindness. A girl at the mall told me she liked my glasses, and I simply said thank you before walking away. My friend punched my arm and said, "Dude, what the hell? Are you dumb?" So I might be a little unsure. Ladies, we really are just that uncertain sometimes. Don't take it personally. We just do not want to overstep. Story 40. All of them. Stop playing games and wasting everyone's time. Story 41. A girl came up to me in a bar and said, "I make a great breakfast." I just stared at her and said, "Okay." What a moron I was. Story 42. Hints do not work. The risks are too high to take anything seriously. If a man responds and he is wrong, she could report the issue to a dean or human resources, and he could lose his scholarship or his job. My mother taught me even before high school, do not think about women that way. They do not want what men want, and touching a woman could end everything. The only reason I am not single is because my wife kissed me in a way that made me realize she was not just a friend. Story 43. One of the problems here is that attraction and matching are not single event processes. Maybe I pick up on a hint but do not know her well. I have not considered dating her. I do not know whether this is a reliable signal from her or just a momentary flirt. I do not know if she is difficult once you get to know her. Many men have been hurt by acting on a hint and then being severely disappointed when it turns out they misinterpreted it. The pain of rejection and the joy of connection are not equal. The process takes time. All genders would be better off if we took our time and let the process evolve. Most people are trying hard to do the right thing. Let us be kind to each other. Story 44. Hints are unpredictable. I am not going to risk acting on a hint just to be caught in a potentially dangerous situation. If you want to talk to me, just come out and do it. Start a dialogue. The worst-case scenario is that the conversation ends. I will grant the same approach and understand if it is time to say farewell or ask to meet again. Story 45. Men come in two forms. Those who cannot take a hint that you are not interested, and those who cannot take a hint that you are interested. Basically, men do poorly when it comes to taking hints. Story 46. Men dislike hints because even if they act on them, you can turn around and pretend the hint meant nothing, making the man feel terrible for engaging. Just take action. Story 47. It's not that we do not pick up on them. We typically do get many of them. It is that there is virtually no way for us to correctly determine how you meant it. Almost all the time we are wrong, so we have decided it is best to wait for something obviously clear. Story 48. There was this guy I worked with in 2009. We would go for walks around the office park twice a day for months. The people in his department teased him that I was his girlfriend. He already had a girlfriend and I wasn't, and am not, a homewrecker, so it was platonic. Every day I only invited him to walk with me. We had a number of common interests and our breaks flew by. I would message him about silly things that happened throughout the workday and checked in to see how he was doing. He would do the same. In retrospect, we were work partners before that term was a thing. I didn't know if he liked me as more than a friend. He wouldn't really make eye contact with me. But we had such enjoyable conversations. We both left the company by 2010, and my friendship with him was the best part of the job. We reconnected as friends a year and a half ago, and it has been amazing. Conversations lasted for hours and so many shared experiences. It was amazing to feel like we picked up right where we left off. We eventually both admitted we have feelings for each other. I told him I liked him then, as did he, so now he definitely knows. A month and a half ago, he became my boyfriend and it was absolutely worth the wait. Story 49. I was having lunch with my friend from out of town whom I had not seen in years. The waitress told me she would be off work in 15 minutes, and all she had to do was go home and clean because all her roommates were on vacation and the house was empty. It went right over my head. Story 50. Reading this thread, I feel we could benefit culturally by shifting the expectation from the man to the woman to ask out her interest. Story 51. According to my experience, a simple, "I like you," is too difficult. They often display inappropriate behavior instead. Examples include catcalling, sitting on top of your crotch, grabbing your buttocks, and waiting until you are lying down to start inappropriate physical contact. These actions happen randomly and are unwanted, as I did not have mutual feelings with any of them. However, my perspective may be influenced by my own experiences, so please do not take this at face value. Story 52. When she says she is bored, the correct response is, "Do you want to make out?" If she says no, you can play it off as a joke, but there is a good chance it will work. Story 53. That situation where the woman makes eye contact a couple of times and calls it a hint is interpreted as mild contempt at best. Story 54. Every couple of weeks, a variation of this question is asked. I always scroll through the comments and see many men noticing opportunities they did not take in the past. Meanwhile, I am just confirming that indeed, no such hint has ever been given to me in my life. Story 55. When I was 15, I met a group of similarly aged kids at a holiday park. My parents drove back to our campsite, and we decided to walk back, about an hour's walk. 4 of the group paired up and went their own ways, leaving me with a girl who was really friendly. It got cold, so I lent her my coat. We sat on a bench for a while. We went back to her caravan, where she unbuttoned her top to show how sunburned she was. I told her she needed some aloe vera on that. She got some aloe vera. We talked. The rest of the group came back and escorted me up to my tent, where they then all left. In the morning, my dad opened the door to their motorhome and asked how many coffees he should make. Just one. I wasn't a confident teenager and never considered she was clearly making a move on me. Story 56. After reading these replies, I've realized I've missed hints from women before, but I don't care or feel regretful about not picking up on them. If they were just playing around, then noticing these hints would be awkward and uncomfortable. If these hints were real, then whatever, not a loss for me. For me, nonverbal cues are like speaking with euphemisms and metaphors. I will pick up on them, but don't expect me to conclusively hone in on the true intent or meaning. I'm autistic and for a long time had trouble picking up on nonverbal cues. Now I have a much better radar for nonverbal hints by women, but nonetheless, I don't like when women are ambiguous and beat around the bush. If a woman is attracted to me, the mature thing to do is just tell me her feelings in clear words. Otherwise, I'll continue to err on the side of caution by ignoring their hints and moving on. To be honest, for me it's the same reason why I don't like overly idiomatic speech. It's nothing to do with hostility, but simply convenience. In general, I'll smile and be friendly with strangers as a matter of courtesy. I generally don't associate a woman being overly friendly, curious, or enthusiastic as expressing attraction for me. It's just something I associate with normal and healthy social interactions, and to muddy the waters with ambiguity just makes things more complicated for me. Story 57. It is usually not a failure to notice it. It is noticing it but also being aware that women frequently do exactly the same kind of behavior and mean nothing by it, either in genuine friendliness or as their idea of a joke or fun. Depicting that awareness of reality as if it were a lack of awareness is just another part of our culture's widespread hostility toward men. Story 58. One time I met a cute American girl in a club. We were dancing and flirting. I thought it was harmless and friendly. She then leaned in close and said she needed directions back to her hotel. I gave her directions using a map on my phone. I then left with my friends and never saw her again. Only years later did I realize she wanted me to walk her back and be intimate. My friends still tease me about it. Another time, I met a girl on her 21st birthday in a bar. I was 21 at the time, and it is a tradition to get 21 kisses on your birthday. I asked her how many kisses she had that night. She said only 20 and was looking for one final kiss. As she said it, she was leaning into my ear. I responded, "Ah, that's unfortunate," and gave her a pat on the back. It was only a few days later that I realized she wanted to kiss me. Story 59. When I was in high school, a girl I had met a few weeks before that night, but never got involved with, called me around 11 p.m. She was drunk and told me her flatmate was also drunk and very horny. She asked if I had a friend for her friend to take with me and come over. Me, what am I? A pimp? To just get a guy for her and wait there? Her, no, you'll leave them alone and you'll stay with me. Me, and just wait. Her, we're going to talk, drink some wine. There are plenty of things to do. Me, no, it's too late and I'm too tired. Maybe another time. Her, okay. About 15 years later, I had a flashback about it and thought, oh my God, my mom created such a big idiot. Story 60. Leaving items on the stairs means someone should take them upstairs when they pass. You are welcome. Story 61. These days, anything less than an executed and notarized contract is insufficient. I am thankful to be married and no longer dating. Story 62. I met my wife in high school. I was somewhat notorious for being oblivious. She told me how I missed all these hints from girls, and I said, nobody was hitting on me. What are you talking about? They were just my friends. She said, everyone was hitting on you. Story 63. Anything and everything. Living with my dad and brother taught me that nothing other than what you literally mean will work. No hints, no silent treatments, nothing except telling them directly. So I say what I mean and mean what I say. It works very well, especially if you say it with kindness. Story 64. My now husband and I slept together on our first date. He did not kiss me on our second date because he was nervous and did not know if I was interested in him. Story 65. What if she thought, hey, I had the old bull. Now I want the young buck. And she grabs me by the winner. Story 66. In my early 20s in a club in London, I had borrowed a fancy shirt from a coworker who introduced me as his brother. A pretty girl said to me, I'm 20 and up for anything. Well, I clearly didn't take her up on that offer. A couple of years earlier, at a club when I was at university, I was sitting on my own while my friends were dancing. Two women came and sat down next to me and started chatting. In retrospect, one could have been interested in me, but I probably might as well have said, "Please leave me alone." Story 67. I was giving a girl a lift home when she said, "You can park on my driveway." I replied, "Why would I do that? I have a driveway at home." Safe to say, the car ended the night parked on my driveway. Story 68. A girl once stroked my palm a certain way and told me if a girl ever does this to you, it means she wants to be intimate with you. Me. That's good to know, thanks. Story 69. Unless a woman very directly tells me she is interested and wants to go on a date, I will not notice. Men who are raised in decent families are taught that a woman being nice to you does not mean she wants a romantic or sexual relationship. It was ingrained in me that women are to be treated with respect and are not just there for my pleasing. Because of this, I do not interpret any behavior of a woman as anything more than just being friendly. Story 70. It is much worse when other people insist that a woman is sending you signals when she clearly is not. I have not been on a date in over a decade. I pick up on this easy signal that my friends then say is not real. I get to know a woman, they come over to hang out. The second time over, wearing full pajamas and no makeup. I do not have a problem with this. I like that women are comfortable around me. I also think women generally look cute in pajamas. It is also a clear announcement that they are not interested. My friends think the fact that they are there means they are interested. I trust my friends, I ask the person out and they say no. I am at the point in my life where I do not plan on asking anyone out again because there is 0 point. It is not fun having to hear lots of, "But there is nothing wrong with the guy," or "You are going to make someone happy someday." Cool. I am almost dead and cannot wait to find my soulmate at 60. Long rant and I am sorry, but yes, struggling. I guess all that to say I would need a woman to scream that she likes me into my ear with a loudspeaker at this point. Story 71. When I met my now husband, I spent the whole night being flirty with him, touching his hair, asking him to fill my cup, talking to him, putting my legs on top of his leg and so on. I was waiting for him to take the next step, either asking for my number or adding me on social media. He did not, so I added him on Facebook and decided to wait for him to send me the first message. He did not. I was drinking at my best friend's house and sent him this. Look. He replied back the next day. I asked him for a date. We went on a date, and I asked him why he did not send me the friend request or the first text. He said that it was because he was not sure that I was interested in him. I was speechless. Story 72. I had a coworker who asked me where the smoking section was because she wanted to vape. I vape too. I just pointed over yonder and said, "Right past those doors." Later, we went out to get drinks with a few others in our group, and she told me that was her way of hinting she wanted me to go outside with her. She was interested in me. If I had been presumptuous enough to assume that's what she meant, it could have come off as creepy. On the other hand, by not assuming, I seemed uninterested. Luckily, she clarified, and we had some fun times together. But seriously, don't drop hints. Just be straightforward, especially in our current culture. The last thing I need is to misinterpret a supposed hint and be accused of something. Story 73. An attractive woman asked me out for coffee. It took me a week to think, oh, she wants to go on a date. I was clueless. Story 74. Once, a woman I work with told me in a whispered tone, "I have an itch I cannot scratch." I replied, "Where on your back?" She answered, "No, somewhere else." Not my brightest moment. Story 75. The day I met my fiancé, when he showed interest in me, I told him directly, "If you aren't prepared to be mine and only mine, don't even bother. I can tell you we are going to be madly in love." I've never said that to anyone in my life. We've been together ever since. The first 2 days we spent almost 48 hours talking. We weren't together in person the whole time, but were on the phone for hours until he met me again. Then we spent the night together over the phone. Despite all the lust and passion, We spent the next 2 months determining what we expect in a relationship, our goals, business, children, our views, and how everything would look being together. We negotiated the things we didn't agree on and discussed every detail. We have both been married before and both have 4 children. He didn't even live in the same state as me at the time. Now we live together and are engaged, working toward everything we agreed upon. We jokingly refer back to our contract when we have disagreements. All of this happened because we made eye contact, smiled at each other, and I gestured to him with my index finger saying, "Come here, I have no game." I was married my entire adult life, 20 years, and hadn't been on dates. We just directly ended up in a relationship. If I had never made that corny gesture to ask him why he was smiling so much, who knows, maybe we would have been a missed connection. Story 76. A coworker always greets me first and gave me a chocolate donut. I think she is just being nice though. Story 77. My fiancé was traveling recently. On his way home, he stopped for gas in a small town. There was a woman who approached him, expressing concern about an approaching storm. She asked if there was a hotel where she could stay until the storm passed. He pointed her to the other side of the interstate and told her there was probably a hotel there. Then he moved on. My fiancé is so sweet, but he was completely clueless that this woman was a sex worker trying to get him as a client. Story 78. While in line on base, a girl lightly swung her keys and hit me while apologizing. It did not register until later when I was back in my room. The next day, I saw her at mealtime and asked her about it. She said yes, she did it because she was attracted to me and we got together. Story 79. Reading a book or wearing headphones is a signal that you do not want to be disturbed. Story 80. I had just moved into an apartment with my girlfriend. We later got married. I had to work weekends then, so my 2 days off were Monday and Tuesday. I was doing laundry on one of those days. The whole laundry room was open, with about 25 washing machines and 15 dryers. I was the only person in the room. A woman around my age walked in. She asked if there were any machines available. I was reading a book, so I looked up and told her there were plenty open. She said some other things, but I forgot what they were. She got my attention again and said, "My husband is always working and out of town. I'm lonely." It's hard to explain, but I wasn't thinking about women because I was attached and not interested. Even though I kind of knew what she was getting at, my mind wasn't tracking. I just looked at her and said, "I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe you should tell your husband and see if you two can find a way to resolve it." She stared at me for what seemed like a long time, then bolted out of the laundry room. I forgot about it until years later and told my wife. She was upset at first and thought I was hiding something from her. When I explained in detail, she laughed and said that's why she asked me out first all those years ago. Story 81. Then there are the other men who think you want sex if you smile at them. Story 82. There is no reason to just give hints. That is a high school behavior. It is time to be straightforward about your intentions and communicate clearly. The idea that men should only approach women is as outdated as many other traditional beliefs about what women should do. Do not hide behind your motives and expect all men to act according to your expectations. Choose either to maintain that old mentality or to follow what many women do today by actively pursuing what they want with confidence. It is your choice to sit back and wait while others take action. Story 83. Not sure how the other men in the thread are, but anytime a woman stares at me for any length of time, my brain says, "She must think she knows you from somewhere," or, "I'll bet she thinks you look familiar in some way." Story 84. All of them, as a male, it is a risky game for us to play on hints. We are one wrong move away from being cancelled or scammed. Story 85. I have become so accustomed to women not wanting to be bothered by men that I assume any nice behavior towards me is just politeness. They smile at me, make eye contact, joke around with me, and even in online games, I receive a lot of positive attention from women. I notice many of these behaviors, but I think there is something inside me telling me not to waste my time because there is no way they could really be interested in me. They are just being polite, right? Story 86. Walking past while avoiding eye contact is by far the most common way girls flirt. Story 87. When a woman, especially one you do not know, approaches you in public and pretends to know you, go along with it. There is a good chance someone is bothering her, and she sees you as a safe space. It is the greatest compliment a woman can give to a complete stranger. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.